Welcome into Mavericks today. Harrison Graham and Jeffrey Cooperstein with you. And on today's show, we got 10 players we're keeping an eye on that the Mavericks could use the remaining $4.4 million of their mid-level exception. Of course, Naji Marshall using the rest of that. And I think a couple of these guys, Coop, could even potentially be vet minimum guys, depending on how their markets go. So keep that in mind as we go through these. And let's start with the familiar face, Spencer Dinwiddie, who mistakenly chose the Lakers in the buyout market last year.
By the way, Lakers, one of the biggest shit shows in basketball right now. But
oh, my God.
Neither here nor there. Dinwiddie, with the Mavericks, by far the best stretch of his career. He averaged 17 points a game on very efficient shooting numbers. 46.5% from the field and over 40% from three on almost 6 attempts.
Easily the best three-point shooting he's ever had.
It is the best basketball he has ever played, and I feel like he was the most comfortable here in this offense, and I think that if the Mavs were to get him, he would have a role on this team, and I just like the fit again. If he's willing to take that $4.4 million, hopefully he could rediscover a bit of his form that he had with the Mavericks and give them something that they didn't have last year.
Yeah, I mean, look, he wouldn't have the role he did a few years ago, obviously, but I think he'd get a chance of being in this rotation. He has good size at 6'5", so he could play the 1 and the 2. So we'll see. I like his game when he's playing well.
The problem is
he played well here, obviously.
Outside of his time with the Mavs, it feels like he's kind of crashed out everywhere he's gone.
Since his injury in Brooklyn, he ended up signing with Washington. He's been very inefficient outside of that basically year with Dallas.
Yeah, he's 76 games, so this is basically a full season of stats with the Mavericks before he got traded for Kyrie Irving. I'd be willing to give it another try. I think Jason Kidd likes him. I think Luka likes him, and I think the rest of the team likes him as well.
Yeah, he seemed to fit in here, so we'll see if that's an option. Someone that reportedly is not an option is Dennis Smith Jr. We talked about this the other day. Tim McMahon said he kind of just threw his name out to a front office person, and they didn't shut it down, so I guess that means they've at least discussed him in some manner. We've talked about him a few times now, Coop. He's not really he hasn't become the offensive player people thought he could be coming out of NC State and really coming off that rookie year where I think he averaged like 15 points.
Yep.
But he has become a very good point of attack defender. He's one of the best defensive guards in the NBA. Is still an athletic freak, so in the open court he can give you some offensive juice, but he's not going to space the floor as a guard. So I think he'd have limitations on when you could play him and how much. But for $4 million, I mean, I think you could find a role for him.
I think it depends on how you look at things. Do you want a guy who's going to provide you more offense and more three-point shooting and floor spacing, or do you want a guy in Dennis Smith who's going to be probably your best guard defender on the team if you sign him, and he's able to guard ones at a pretty high level? So let me know who you guys want. Pick a reunion. Who should the Mavs sign to bring back to the team? Type SD for Spencer Dinwiddie, DSJ for Dennis Smith. If I was picking between these two, I think I'd go Dennis Smith because I just prefer the defensive upside there.
Yeah, I think that's right. If you told me Dinwiddie had even 80% of the efficiency he had in his last stop here, I might lean that way because he was such a spark plug offensively. But you might be able to just get that from Jaden Hardy. So, defense might be the way to go here.
I wouldn't be mad with either of them whatsoever, but let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section.
You could go with another defensive guy, Patrick Beverley, who, crazy enough, Smith is probably a better defender at this point in his career just because he's a younger guy. But what Beverley would provide that Smith doesn't is Beverley can at least knock down an open three-pointer, whereas Smith, he's just not a good shooter. So, and he's a vet. He's been on a ton of playoff teams. I don't know how the Mavs organization feels like him currently. We know in the past they've had interest, so we'll see. We'll see if he's an option.
My concern with Patrick Beverley is kind of twofold. One, the antics with Beverley can get tiring. You know that he's going to be chirping a lot, and you know that he's going to go on his podcast and he's going to be talking about things that have happened and whatnot. Number two, he is suspended for the first 4 games of the season. Now, that's not a huge deal in the grand scheme of things because it's not like he'd have a huge role where that directly impacts the rotation, but I do wonder if he's a culture fit here for the Mavericks.
Look, I mean, they've made Kyrie work, but it's kind of one of those things. Do you want to add another strong personality, especially for a guy who's not going to have a huge role? I'd be open to it. I'm
always down for veteran leadership, but Beverley kind of toes that line of leadership and craziness.
It's just one of those deals where, if for some reason this thing started slow, Like, is he causing problems? Does Kyrie start to get a little agitated? I don't know. I do wonder if the risk is worth it for a guy who will have not no role, but kind of a minimal
impact.
role. So, how about Luke Kennard? If you want to go more of like a two-guard offensive guy, he is easily the best floor spacer of this group. Can really shoot the three ball, can handle the rock a little bit as well. 3.5 assists per game last year. I mean, just an absolute sniper, Coop, at 45% from three. And you would think playing on this team, he would shoot a very good clip.
Yeah, when I put Luke Kennard on this list, I can be honest, I didn't know what his stats looked like, and I'm not sure you can get him for $4.4 million. I mean, 11 points a game, 45% from three. He would be an awesome fit here, and if his market dries up and the Mavs could somehow get him for that remaining mid-level exception, that would be a steal. I would love Luke Kennard. I think he would play a decent role on this team given his impact last year. Now, the Grizzlies were a pretty bad team last year with a lot of their problems, but I do think that he would be a fit here, and there would be a role that would be carved out for him.
A player I'm intrigued with is Taurean Prince. He's 6'6", he's long, he can rebound, and he can shoot the three ball. He's just under 40% last year. Some positional flexibility there. Just gives you another wing off the bench, Coop, especially if a guy like Omax Prosper isn't ready to be in the rotation next year.
Yeah, Taurean Prince started a decent amount of games for the Lakers, especially in the first half of the season, so you know he can either start or come off the bench. Mainly plays the 4, can play the 3. He did even play some at the 2 for the Lakers, so that's a Darvin Ham situation. That's why he no longer has a job. But I like Taurean Prince, the Baylor product. I think he would give you some decent minutes there. I don't know if he would be a major part of the rotation like I think Luke Kennard could be, but Prince would be a valuable guy off the bench now.
Yeah, I mean, look, he gives you insurance for Maxi Kleber when he inevitably misses time with an injury. And it's some insurance for Omax as well if he's just not ready to have a role yet. Subscribe to the channel, inform and entertain. That's what we're doing here at Mavericks today. If the Mavs make a move, we'll have it covered. So hit that sub button. By the way, I'm going on vacation, but Coop will have you guys covered for the next week or so. So keep it locked in.
Let's go.
We will still have plenty of coverage. Okay, Jae Crowder. I said it the other day. Since that series where he was terrible against the Mavericks in 2022 for Phoenix, he could not make a shot. He's kind of cooked. Yeah. Now, he's a vet. He seems to always find a role on playoff teams. He could still defend decently. He's not a bad shooter, but he's not what he was. I'm not as high on him as I thought I would be, kind of taking a deeper dive into this. Like, if it's Taurean Prince or Jae Crowder, I think it's pretty easily Taurean Prince.
Absolutely, yeah. Crowder would he would kind of be a vibes guy like like Markieff Morris was last year. I don't think he would have a role at all.
He'd play a little bit more, but
yeah, but I do think he'd be out of the rotation for the most part. He can give you a little bit on defense. Not a very good shooter anymore. I think I'd pass on Jae Crowder. A guy I'd be interested in is the twin of Markieff Morris, Marcus Morris Sr. Again, he has the beef with Luka, but maybe that's settled because of Markieff's connection there. He still has a little bit left in the tank, certainly more than his brother did, who was absolutely tragic in that one finals game that he played in.
40% three-point shooter last year, Marcus was.
So I think he has a little bit left in the tank, but I would certainly pick him over Jae Crowder if we were splitting hairs there.
I think Marcus Morris would kind of be a notch above Keith, where like he probably wouldn't be in the rotation either, but if Kleber went down, if PJ went down, whatever, if he has to play, it's like, okay, like this guy was getting some playoff minutes for the Cavs last year.
Like
so he can actually still play.
If PJ Washington missed 5 games, like Marcus Morris could probably give you 20 minutes a game for those 5 games off the bench. So that's kind of what you're looking for. Doug McDermott, another sniper, another former Maverick for 20 games that got him paid about $25 million. Can still shoot it. He can't do much anymore. He's kind of like Klay Thompson, but an extremely poor man's Klay Thompson now, where he can't move at all. But if he sits in the corner, Luka will find him, and he'll knock down a few shots.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a guy, Coop, that could help you through the course of an 82-game season. Like, you don't want him in your playoff rotation. Kind of like, who did they have a few years? Bertans.
That was
like,
Bertans, yep.
He'll light the flamethrower every once in a while and hit 4 or 5 threes in a game on a Tuesday night in January. But come playoff time, he's not someone you want in the rotation.
Cedi Osman, who spent last year with the Spurs, kind of a veteran that's been around for a couple times. He was with Cleveland to start his career. He's bounced around a little bit. He's okay. I mean, I don't think he provides anything special. He's a decent shooter. He can handle it a little bit for his size. but he doesn't provide anything that I think the Mavs don't already have.
And then Robert Coovington, who a few years ago, I think I remember the Mavs being interested. Felt like everyone was interested because he was kind of your prototypical big 3-and-D wing, and he's kind of fallen off. Like he kind of like Crowder, where he's just not what he was a couple years ago. Like I think he'd probably be more in that vet min guy.
Yep.
Like say you cut AJ Lawson, use $4 million with the rest of mid-level on somebody, then maybe Rocco's your 15th guy. Maybe you find something there. I don't know if he'd be at the top of my list with that $4.4 million.
Who do you guys think the Mavs should sign? We laid out 10 guys who are still free agents that the Mavs could sign, so let us know down in the comments if there's someone we missed. Let us know as well. Harrison, do you have a preference?
I think Prince, DSJ, and Dinwiddie are my top three.
I fully agree.
I think they all provide us something a little bit different. Dinwiddie gives you a proven ball handler who played his best basketball with this team. Same coaching staff for the most part. Obviously, Taurean Prince could give you some 3-and-D ability at the 4 and at the 3. And then Dennis Smith would be a fun story who can also defend ones and twos pretty well and give you some athleticism that you lost in Derek Jones. Like I think there is a little overlap there where he can defend guards kind of like Jones did. He's not going to defend wings and bigs, but he could also give you some open court scoring and athleticism. So I think if you got one of those three guys to kind of round out this offseason, that'd be pretty fun.
If the Mavs sign someone, we will have you covered, so please be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the like button if you haven't already. That's a free and easy way to help the channel out, and we'll see you later here on Mavericks Today.